Good evening, everyone. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to call to order the hearings of the City of Deltona Code Enforcement before the Special Magistrate. First order of business is the roll call. Let me introduce myself. My name is William Reichman. I'm the Special Magistrate. I've been appointed by the City Commission, the City of Deltona, to act in its capacity consistent with Florida statute and City Code to hear the cases today. I'm an attorney, a licensed practicing attorney. I've been practicing for about 40 years, and I represent several cities and have been doing code enforcement work for local governments for a substantial period of that time. So we'll go around and everyone will introduce themselves, and then we'll get started with a few more preliminary matters and then get the hearings done for our folks and can move on. Please, sir.
For this evening, my name is Danny Ron, Special Magistrate Clerk.
Richard Love, Assistant Director, Code Compliance.
Mark Gibson, Code Compliance Supervisor.
Dennis Hughes, Enforcement Service Officer.
Steve Brock, Code Compliance Officer.
Mary Larissy, Code Compliance Officer.
Myron Sangill, Code Compliance Officer.
Jeff Scott, Code Compliance Officer.
Ron Paradise, Planning and Development Services.
All right. If everyone could please stand, we're going to pledge allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Quick, brief explanation of what we're doing here today. These are hearings, again, as I mentioned, that are authorized by the state statute and by the City of Deltona Code. And these are what are called quasi-judicial hearings. So we're not in a courtroom, so we're not following all the rules of evidence, but we are providing for a fundamental due process, and we'll observe that. What that means in the Florida law is that everyone that has a hearing today has been provided notice of the hearing. You have the opportunity to come and testify and give me the evidence that you want me to hear. We are recording this. Minutes will be kept. You'll have the opportunity to, examine all the evidence and make sure that whatever ruling that I make today will be based upon just the evidence that I hear today. So I do take judicial notice. What that means is that I do not need to be provided the actual documentation of the City of Deltona ordinances or the applicable state statutes, the Florida Building Code. Those are referenced in the agenda, and I have reviewed them. Please be aware that any documents that you submit to me this evening are made part of the record, and what that means is that they have to be kept. So if you're giving me photos or any documents that you want me to consider, which of course I will, please understand that as being part of the public record, they have to be kept by the city, and you can contact the hearing clerk or the city to gain copies of any documentation that you want me to consider that have been made part of the public record. And as part of the public records, please be aware that they are subject to the Florida Statute Chapter 119, which deals with public records, and so they could be requested and examined by the public. So with that said, let me tell everybody, as I mentioned before, I do not represent the City of Deltona. I do not represent any of you. I am a hearing officer like a judge, and I am making my decisions today based solely upon the evidence that I received today. I have not talked to any code enforcement officer or any respondent, any property owner before this evening, and have not communicated with anyone that has anything to do with the business before me this evening. Let's see. I have already approved tonight's agenda, as well as the minutes of the August 25th, 2021 hearings. And at this time, unless there's we have, I guess I should announce the withdrawals. I think that's what I'm supposed to do at this point in time. We have several DEL 21-122, which is 896 Deltona Boulevard owner, Kanha Inc., another case with that same property owner, DEL 21-123, several other withdrawals. This was case DEL 21-131, property 1382 Howland Boulevard, owner MMM Investments. And then another one, DEL 21-133, property address 716 Ibis Avenue, property owner Robert and Michelle Watt. So if I have called any of those cases, those have been withdrawn and will not be heard this evening. They are resolved in some manner. Lastly, I'm going to need everyone that intends to give any testimony this evening or provide any evidence to me. This is the time where I need for you to stand and I can swear you in and give you your oath. So if you plan to testify this evening, I need you to stand, raise your right hand. Anybody that's going to be testifying, you swear or affirm that the evidence you provide tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
When we call your case, the way it's going to work is that the city has the burden of proof of establishing that there is a violation. So they'll go first. It's their burden of proof. After I hear from them, then I'll ask anyone that wants to testify further on the matter. That'll be your opportunity. And when we get to your cases, if you would just come forward, and there's a lectern right there, and if you could go ahead and stand there, and the first thing I'll ask you to do when we get to that point of the agenda is to give me your name and your address, and then tell me what you want me to hear. So with that, we call the cases that got here first. And let's see, we are, okay, hang on just a second, let me get there in my agenda. And I believe these are 4 related cases. This is Officer Laracy. Am I correct to understand that we have 4 related cases? 21-134, 135, 136, 137, and it looks like we got permit issues.
Yes, sir.
And is there anyone here on that matter? Fair enough, okay. Do we have any resolution on this?
Okay.
Officer Laracy, do we have any resolution on this?
No,
We're
sir.
proceeding.
We proceed.
Okay, very good.
Thank you, sir.
Are you going to be presenting these cases separately or with one presentation?
Which way would you prefer?
Well, if the facts are the same, we can all present them all at the same time. If they're distinct facts, then we'll need to present them separately.
They're all the same.
Okay. Please proceed then. We are proceeding on cases DEL 21-134, 135, 136, and 137. So 4 cases that all involve, just so we're all, there's a permit for a deck, permit for a generator, permit for a hurricane shutter, and permit for pools. And I should say that there have not been permits. It is alleged that there's not been permits obtained. Are you ready to proceed?
Yes, sir.
Please do.
Thank you. My name is Marion Laracy. I'm employed with the City of Deltona as a code compliance officer. This will be in reference to case number DEL 21-134 for a pool deck, DEL 21-135 for a generator, DEL 21-136 for shutters, and DEL 21-137 for a pool. City of Deltona versus Anne Marie D. Fuller. The property address is 2916 Fish Cove Court, Deltona, Florida. The parcel ID is 813-040-0240. This is in violation of the City of Deltona Section 18-3, adopting the latest edition of the Florida Building Code, Section 105.1, which states that any owner, authorized agent who intends to construct, enlarge, alter, repair, move, demolish, or change occupancy of a building or structure, or to erect, install, enlarge, alter, repair, remove, convert, or replace any electrical, gas, mechanical, or plumbing system, the installation of which is regulated by this code, or to cause any such work to be done, shall first make application to the building official and obtain the required permit. The statutory requirements for notification of this hearing have been met. By the notice of hearing and notice of code violation were sent certified mail to the property owner at the address listed with the property appraiser's records and were posted on the property 10 days prior to this hearing. All evidence of in this case, including photographs, have been marked as exhibits and submitted to the code clerk. I certify any and all photographs to be true and accurate portrayals of what I observed on the day they were taken. This case began June of 2020 as a complaint for construction of a pool deck without a permit. It was determined that there were several structures on the property that were without a permit, to include a pool, and the permit for the generator and hurricane structures had expired. I met with the resident, advised of the complaints, the violation, and how to correct the violation. Basically, obtain permits for all four of
So they had obtained permits, but they expired
for two of them, yes.
for two, okay. And the other two matters, there were no permits at all.
Correct.
But the remedy is the same for all four.
Yes, sir.
Please proceed.
As of this afternoon, I did check to see if there was any permits. There was no permits on file for the pool or the deck, and the generator and the shutters remained expired.
Okay.
So property's still in
What is the request of the city?
We request the city to be found in noncompliance and 30 days to be given before scheduling a $50 a day fee.
I'm sorry, how long?
30 days before scheduling a $50 a day fee for each violation.
Anything further?
No, sir.
I believe there's some people here for this case. Please come forward, give me your name and your address, ma'am.
Hello. My name is Deanne Fuller. It's not Ann Fuller.
Okay.
And I'm of 2916 Fish Cove Court.
Yes, ma'am.
I have been down to the code enforcement office over here several times trying to make sure that I can be compliant with this. I was advised to hire an engineer. I hired, in regards to the pool deck, I hired a gentleman. I've paid him $900, and he is looking to ensure that the deck is structurally sound. We purchased this house in January of 2019. The deck and the above-ground pool were already on the property when we purchased the house. I have a boundary survey here that I can afford to give you that shows that the deck and the pool were already here and that they are both within the grounds of the property. They are both behind the fence. What we did is both were very gimpy. They weren't structurally sound, so we never went into our backyard. We decided to begin utilizing our backyard and making it safe, and we began repairing the deck. At this point in time, we've spent a lot of money making the deck very structurally sound, so we feel confident that the engineer will return back to us that it is structurally sound. You could go on to Google Earth or anything and see the old deck. We basically kept the exact same shape, and it had a picket fence with spacing. We put the fence together. And then with the above-ground pool, what we did is we just put in a new liner. It cost us $1,000, and we began servicing it. So, yes, we have been repairing it. We were not aware that the previous homeowners did so illegally, and we're a little dumbfounded as to why we're dealing with this. We bought the house legally, and now all of a sudden code enforcement is in front of us with the pool and the deck, which were there when we bought the property. So as far as the deck goes in the pool, what I would like to ask is for an extension so I can also get a new survey, unless you would accept this survey. This is the one that the property owners gave us when we moved in. They left it behind. It's stamped 2014, and it does show that the pool and the pool deck is within the property. Again, it's not an in-ground pool, it's an above-ground pool. So as far as the shutters go, that is something that we have done since we've been to the property. The shutters are not complete yet. We have 13 on, there's 17 total. They have not finished the job. So once they were done with the 13, I asked them to go ahead and do the remainder, and it's taking them a little time. I'm dealing with a company that's really good, but they're really slow. I think the problem is that their company deals with subcontractors only, and so they're all having problems getting together on the same time frame. Each one has their own jobs to do, and I'm kind of left in the dust. But I've been in communication with them. Hagar with U.S. Discount Shutters, he's listed as their registered agent, and Hagar told me that as of this week that they have, and actually they told me yesterday in there that it does show that 17 windows or doors are to be covered. So I know that they are trying to proceed. They said once they did that, then they would come do my shutters, then there can be a final inspection.
So let me tell you what we're here on tonight and try to tell you what I understand and then see if we're all on the same page, the city, myself, and you as well, obviously. There's 4 different types of work that what I'm hearing that you all are working on your house to make your house better, which is a great thing. Under the Florida Building Code, each one is separate and requires a permit. So the city's not at this point saying that you have to finish the work within 30 days.
I asked to pay for the permit for the deck and the pool, and I was not allowed to.
Well, I think what we need to try to figure out tonight is what is a reasonable period of time for you to be able to obtain a permit for these, and it may not be the same for each one, but we need to figure out what's a reasonable time, because I'm not about to create a deadline that is just not feasible. That doesn't make any sense at all. But it is something that the code requires, and that is that you have to get the permit. So, let's start with the pool deck. The city's saying that 30 days for you or for your contractor. Is that to pull the permit, right?
Yes,
It's just to pull the permit,
that's correct.
not to final it out, just to pull the permit.
Just a polar, yes.
Okay, so I think it's important you understand that. They're not saying you got to finish the job within 30 days. They're just saying that your contractor, you need to pull the permit within 30 days to come in compliance with the code.
No, when I come in here, it is, I was told that I can't just pull a permit because this was already here, and so then it has to start from...
Let's talk about the pool. I'm sorry, let's start with the pool deck.
Right.
So the city's saying that is 30 days is what would be reasonable for you to be able to pull the permit for the pool deck. Now, do you believe, ma'am, that 30 days is not enough time for you?
Are you asking me, all I have to go in there is pay for a permit? I mean, I could do that right now.
Well, I don't know. That's a very good point. Is there someone here from the city that can tell, not
Because
just me?
I will pay for all 4 permits right now just to get this out of my hair.
Absolutely.
I do have 2 companies, the generator company and the shutter company. I'll just pay it and deal with them.
I hear you loud and clear. So what I just don't want to do is say, okay, well, 30 days, and then because there's some requirement other than just writing a check. That's the thing that I'm concerned about, because you've told me that there's some things that they've told you have to do in addition to writing the check.
Right. I spoke with Milton, and Milton had explained that the issue might be is that the deck is in the flood zone. And so I said, but the deck is up. You know, it's several feet up. He went back and talked to an engineer who I don't know the name of.
Sure.
And he came back to me saying that the engineer said, as long as you go hire an engineer and it can be validated that it's structurally sound, then you can apply for the permit. Okay. So that's where I left that day. And then yesterday I came.
How long ago was that you did that, ma'am?
Probably 2 weeks.
Okay.
And I was here, I think it was yesterday or the day before, and I was told then that I needed to get a survey, a new survey.
So you need an engineer and you need a survey in order to be able to bring back those 2 things to get the permit for the pool deck.
Right. I've obtained the engineer. Surveys, I think they might be really busy, so I don't know how quickly I can get a survey done.
Okay.
But
let me ask the city a question. This could be anyone from the city. You've just heard what I've heard, and I do not want to say 30 days if what we just heard is not reasonable. So this is a question for the city. Is 30 days appropriate for what this lady needs to get? in order, what she's been told she has to get in order to be able to get a permit.
Ron Paradise Plan Development Services.
Just as to the pool deck, we're just talking about the pool
Just
deck.
the pool deck, and she needs survey work. I think 30 days is a challenge.
Okay, well, that's what I'm asking. All right, so what do you think would be fair? 60, 45?
60.
60 days?
Mr. Reichman, Richard Lovett, honestly, I think if they're talking about having to have engineered drawings too, we probably need to actually look at 90 days, to be honest.
Okay.
Especially if they're telling her she's in a flood zone and she's going to have drawings. I think to be fair to her, let's do 90 days.
Okay. That's why we're here.
Thank
Okay?
you.
Sure. So what I'm going to say as to this one, we're going to finish up, but this first one, ma'am, Ms. Fuller, what I'm hearing the city say is that 90 days is more appropriate, and that's what I'm going to put in the order that I'm going to eventually sign, and you'll get a copy of. So
Okay.
it'll be 90 days for you to do the steps, to take the steps, and what I'm hearing is that's reasonable for you to get these two things, a survey and some sort of engineering report to satisfy the people at that front desk, and then to write the check, which is probably going to be, it hurts, but it's the least cumbersome part of this task. Or it's
Yeah,
going to
I
be,
think it's considered an after-the-fact permit, so I'm going to have to pay more because of that.
Probably. So I'm going to say 90 days or $25 a day. What that means is that when I sign this order, the clock starts ticking. And if it doesn't come into compliance, in other words, you don't get the permit within that 90 days, then a fine will start running at $25 a day. I don't want that. They don't want that. You don't want that. The only reason we're doing that is that's the only tool that we have to make sure that this gets done, and that's pursuant to Florida law, state statutes. Okay?
Well, I will come here without penalty.
Pardon me?
I'll come here without you fining me. You just have to ask me to come. I'll come.
Yeah, well, we don't want to penalize you. What we want to do is just make sure that within 90 days you get the permit for the pool deck. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. So the next case is the generator. So what does Mrs. Fuller have to do to get the permit for the generator? Anybody?
I believe she had a contractor do that work, correct? She just needs to get with the contractor.
Yeah.
Finalize it.
Milton actually made a phone call for me on
I'm sorry, Milton is
He works in that office.
somebody over there. Okay.
And he was trying to help me figure it out because I do have stuff like permit forms, but I guess they expired. And he began to say that it isn't about the generator, it's about the propane tank. And he made a call to the propane company, and they said they were going to handle it, but apparently it's not been handled. I've been calling the generator company this week, and they're pointing fingers at the propane company. So I sent him some text messages showing that I paid you $250 in the price of the generator for the permit, and he's pointing at the propane company. So they're pointing fingers, and I guess I just
hear
need
you.
to pay for the permit.
So let me ask the city, anyone that's with the city, what's normally required to get a permit for the installation of a generator and/or a propane tank? Is this as complicated as the deck?
No.
I don't believe so, Mr. Paradise. I don't know if you can answer that question.
I don't think it's as complicated as the deck, especially, we're dealing with a deck. It appears an owner-builder type of permit arrangement. The gen set, we're talking about the wiring and the propane. So
Right, you want to do that right. You don't want to have
Yeah.
a big thing of propane next to something that's wired incorrectly. That's not.
Yeah, so to answer your question, this is something between her and the installer.
Right.
That they need to just reconcile and come in here and permit.
Is that already installed, ma'am?
Yeah, it's been installed. It's done. Like this right here's the permit for the generator. I guess they didn't finalize. I paid them.
Yeah.
They did the job. I don't know if the inspection was
Sounds like they did do the finalize it to get to
right.
complete.
That's what's hanging really with
Yeah.
both.
Well, it sounds like 30 days that's a month. I mean,
Well,
that's
can I pay that now so we can have the baby on
that's
it?
not my role. told, but that before you leave, feel free to get with one of the code enforcement officers. I doubt they can do it tonight because everything's locked up over there.
I think the best resolution for the shutters,
Hang on, we're just talking.
okay,
I'm
for
sorry.
the generator, the best resolution is just for me to pay, and I'm going to let it go because I'm not going to argue with the company over it, and I'll just
Okay.
pay for the generator.
I'm going to give you 30 days or a $25 per day fine.
Can I come down tomorrow and pay?
Again, ma'am, I do not take your money.
They do,
They
right?
pay me, I get paid for this. I don't need your money too. Thank you
No.
very much, but
But
there's
do
someone
I
at the
go
city.
over there and pay them
I
tomorrow?
believe so, but I mean, I'm going to
If I could interject here, I think there's an inspection event that needs to
Yes.
occur as a result of this. So it's not just as simple as coming down and paying, though. You know, that's certainly an appreciated component of the building permit process. But I think, you know, coming in and you know, and I'm not intimate with the circumstances of this permit not being closed out, so I'm kind of at a disadvantage on this. And the short answer is I don't really know because I'm not intimate with the details.
When you come in, ma'am, they'll tell you exactly what needs to be done in addition to giving the city of Deltona some money.
Okay.
But I think whatever needs to be done, it's not going to take any more than 30 days. And that's the key of all I have to do tonight, is make sure that I give you a reasonable period of time to come in compliance with the code. That's what I'm driving at tonight.
You're not showing an inspection ever done on the generator?
There was. It just needs to be finalized, so you just need to call permitting and find
There
out
you
what
go.
needs to be done.
That's the key.
Okay, so I can come in here and tell them I want to finalize the generator?
Perfect question. You got the answer. Perfect question.
Okay.
All
The
right.
shutters, they're not done yet, so I don't know how I can have that finalized.
Well, I don't know. Let's ask her, what does she need to do to come in compliance with regard to the shutters?
I'm sorry, can we just ask a question about the generator? What was it, 30 days?
30 days or a
then
fine of $25 per
25?
day.
Okay. The shutter, again, it was just an expired permit, so it needs to be, a final inspection needs to be scheduled.
Basically the same. She could come in and do the same exact thing for the shutters as she's doing for the generator.
Correct.
Okay.
The issue with the shutters is the job is not complete. There's, they originally did complete the job. We paid for 13 shutters to be done, 13 were done, but then we said we wanted more.
So from the city standpoint, in order for her to come into compliance, does the job have to be done?
Whatever the original permit had on there, whether it be the 13 shutters, that's what needs to be final.
Well, those
If they
13
change their
were done.
mind
Okay.
later on,
So
then
that's what you need to, just come in when you come in for the generator. Just bring the information you have about the shutters, as well as what happened tonight, the information you received for tonight, and they should be able to take care of it. Okay? And I'm giving you 30 days again to do that. Because those seem to be a lot different than the pool deck.
Oh, yeah, the
Rice.
pool deck's a complicated one.
That's complicated. So the last one, Mrs. Fuller, is the pool itself. So then this is an above-ground pool. You relined it.
Yeah, it's an above-ground pool. The deck goes right up to the above-ground pool. It sits about this high off the
What
ground.
does Mrs. Fuller have to do to come into compliance with?
so essentially, it's not so much the pool that needs to be permitted, it's the electrical that goes to the pool.
Okay, fair enough.
So I need to have an electrician?
I don't know. What would she need to do? Tell her what she needs to do to come into compliance.
Bring in the information that you have for the pool, as far as what's on there, as far as the electrical.
I have
and
the
size.
pool here.
Bring it into the permitting department, and they can tell you what exactly you're going to need to obtain the permit for the pool.
Okay.
What do we, just from what we know, because this is the key, what do you
Timeframe?
think's reasonable? What do you think, just speculate, what would be a reasonable period of time? This sounds like this is not the pool deck issue, but it may be a little bit more than the generator and the shutters.
I would say 30 days would be adequate.
Okay. So it sounds like you can do the three things pretty quickly.
So let me just make sure I understand. For the pool, you need to validate, you need to come and do an inspection on the electric?
Maybe I
I
can help.
can't answer that. That would be, but I think if what I'm hearing is bring in all the information you have for the work that you've done in the pool, including and especially for the electrical.
Well, I do have my file for the pool. I can't give it to you. I can let you look
No,
at it.
you don't give it to me. You give it to the
Mr.
people over
Rice?
there when you come in tomorrow.
The only thing we've done is put a liner on it. Same location, everything's the same. We just put a liner in it.
And the important thing is that you have 30 days to get it clarified with the officer or the person who is going to be talking to you tomorrow about the generator, the shutters, and then the pool.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you 30 days for that as well, or $25. So if you could come in and get started on those three, then I think that'll probably be done pretty quickly. It's the pool deck that I would encourage you to try to get that going, because that sounds like it's got some steps that involve third parties over whom you do not have control.
Right.
And that would be something that you'd want to try to stay focused on. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So it's 90 for the pool deck days, 30 for the other three, or a $25 fine for each one. So if you have any questions before you leave, please, and Officer Laracy, if you would give this nice young lady your card, so if she has any follow-up questions, she can call you, because she's here tonight and she's trying to do the right thing. So we want to try to make sure that she can do the right thing.
Yeah, it's just better to do the right thing.
Absolutely. Thank you, ma'am. Okay?
Sir.
Here's 4. Thank you for being here.
This is a Massey case.
All right, the next case that we have here this evening is 21-114. It's a Massey case. The property address is 990 Windbrook Drive. Property owner, Mr. Ramirez. So we're going to, you come forward, sir. We're going to let the city, like I said before, we're going to let the city say some things, and then I want to hear what you have to say. City ready to proceed.
Yes, sir. Good evening. My name is Myron San Miguel. I'm employed by the City of Deltona as a code compliance officer. This is going to be a Massey case number DEL 21-114, City of Deltona versus Ramirez Artemio, in reference to 990 Windbrook Drive, Deltona, Florida 32725. The parcel ID number is 813012010110. This was a code violation of City of Deltona Ordinance Section 18-3, adopting the latest edition of the Florida Building Code, Section 116.1, conditions, structures, or existing equipment that are or hereafter become unsafe and sanitary or deficient because of inadequate means of egress facilities, inadequate light and ventilation, or that constitute a fire hazard or are otherwise dangerous to human life or the public welfare, or that involve illegal or improper occupancy or inadequate maintenance, shall be deemed an unsafe condition. Unsafe structures shall be taken down and removed or made safe as the building official deems necessary and as provided for in this section. A vacant structure that is not secure against entry shall be deemed unsafe. Excuse me. The statutory requirements for notification of this hearing have been met by notice of hearing, notice of code violation were sent certified mail to the property owner at the address listed with the property appraiser's records. In addition, both notices were posted at City Hall at least 10 days prior to this hearing. This case was ruled on August 31st, 2021. The House was ruled on as in non-compliance and given 48 hours to come into compliance. The final date for that would have been August 25th. Excuse me, I apologize. On August 31st, the House came into compliance after 3 days of being in violation. The order was given for them to come into compliance by August 25th. That order was $250 a day. They were in violation for a total of 3 days before they cleaned up the pool. They did an exceptional job. They cleaned up the inside of the pool as requested, and they finally covered the pool completely in a tight and substantial manner. That total, though, is $750 in fines, and the city would request that those fines be levied.
All right. Please proceed. I need your name and your address, please, first.
My name is Vianney Ramirez, and this is my father, Artemio Ramirez. The address is 990 Windbrook Drive.
Sí, ¿qué es lo que me estaba diciendo?
De lo que estaba diciendo de la piscina.
Bueno, yo supuestamente es lo que ellos me dijeron.
I'm sorry, I can't hear him.
Buenas tardes. Yo hice lo que me dijeron. No sé ahora cuál es el problema.
Ma'am, can you,
He's done everything he's needed to do. He covered up the pool, and now they're charging him $250 daily for him to fix the pool. So we don't know what the problem is because he's done everything he had to do.
okay. What is this, let me ask the city a question, ma'am, and then I'm going to tell you. So how long was this problem? I mean, it's curious that I find that the problem went on for a while, and then, you know, we did the order, and then it seemed like pretty quickly there was compliance in 3 days. Any idea, I mean, did the folks got notices and everything. What do you think all of a sudden caused them to bring it into compliance? If you know.
The city's opinion as to why he came into compliance so quickly was the order of you have 24 to 48 hours to come into compliance, or $250 a day. The initial case was sent out with notification back in the beginning of June. I had no notice, no conversation, no communication at all from the property owner until that order was given. The last magistrate hearing that was sent certified in the same manner that everything else was.
Were they here at the last hearing?
He was not, sir. He sent somebody that worked for him.
Okay, that's right. That's right. Okay.
The pool itself, it's unknown how long that pool was in violation. There was a second pool that was in disrepair. That was an above-ground pool that was put in on that property, which was the initial call as to why I went out there. When that was inspected, it came to my attention that there was another pool that was much more unsafe on the property, and after speaking to the residents at that home, they said it's been like that for years that they've lived there. Unfortunately,
He's in compliance now.
he is in compliance now, yes,
Okay.
sir. But
So we're just
because he
talking
was
about the
3 days in violation, it took him 3 days to come into full compliance after the order of 48 hours.
Okay.
Mr. Reisman, Rich Love, if I can speak on this one. The reason that we're asking for the 3-day fine and the hold with the $750 is this is a rental property, and the product was there to cover the pool on a Friday, which would have made him being able to be done in time. It just took him a couple more days to get over there to do it.
Okay.
And this being a rental property with tenants in it.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry, ma'am, your last name was Ramirez as well?
Ramirez, yes.
Okay. Does your father understand English?
Yes, he does.
He does. All right. So he'll understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Ramirez, the reason why there is the possibility of a fine being imposed tonight is because at the last hearing, I found that because of this was an in-ground pool, it was open, the property was rented, there were people in there, it constituted a very dangerous situation. Someone could have gotten hurt. Now, whether or not you agree with that, at this point, doesn't really make any difference. That's what I determined. So I said at that last hearing, which has been almost a month now, which is within my power, I put in my order that it had to be fixed, you know, the pool cleaned out and covered within 48 hours. And what I'm hearing this evening is that it was fixed, but it was not done, it was not fixed within the 48 hours. It took an additional 3 days. And that my prior order was that for each day beyond the 48 hours, there would be a fine imposed of $250 per day. And that is authorized by Chapter 162 of the Florida statutes, as well as the city code of the city of Deltona. So my job tonight is to determine what would be appropriate as far as imposing the fine. And so I am going to impose some fine. I'm not going to make it for $750, but I'm going to make it for $500. I'm going to reduce it from $750 to $500. And the reason I'm doing that is because, and that's why I asked these questions, this condition in this pool was there for quite some time. And this was something that was dangerous to the people that you rented this home to, because it's your home. And the case started in June, and there were notices that were provided to you at that time, and we didn't get to the hearing until the end of August, and that's 3 months that property remained in violation. And the city put in a lot of effort, put in a lot of time, and I'm not trying to be mean here, but this is the process. And I think it's important for you to understand that it's one thing if you don't mow your grass, because that's appearance, probably not dangerous. But a pool like this, and I've been doing this for a long time, a pool like this can be really dangerous. And that's why I'm going to impose the fine tonight for the time that it didn't get cured for $500. So you need to get with these folks to go ahead and take care of that. But that's going to be my ruling tonight. It's going to be a fine of $500 for the time that this pool was not brought in compliance beyond the deadline that I set forth in my prior order. Could you ask your father if he understands what I've just said?
Sí, más o menos que sí, fue por acabar tarde los...
Por acabar tarde el permiso te van a cobrar $500, pero le bajó un poco porque dijo que había puesto 750, entonces le bajó 500.
Sí, sí, lo entendí, está bien.
He said he
Okay,
understands.
all right. Thank you for being here tonight, and tell your dad thank you very much for fixing it.
Thank you.
Just want to make sure it doesn't happen again.
It won't happen again.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir, for being here.
Okay, adiós.
We have someone else here? Oh, it's the bunch?
It's the one, same owner, but different location, same violation.
All right. Someone's here for Deltona Lakes Investors. Who's here for that? Thank you, sir. Okay, we're gonna we're getting to you now, sir, and I'm gonna hear from the city first. And I got a whole pile of them here. So let me ask a couple questions, just introduction. I'm going to introduce them we've got a bunch of property addresses, but it looks like they're all on Normandy Boulevard.
Yes.
Well, there's one on Farley Court. And on Saxon. There's a couple on Saxon, but they're all owned by Deltona Lakes Investors. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I believe there's 7 cases?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to read off just for the record, I'm going to read off the case numbers. Sir, could you tell me your name?
Paul Hullub. Paul Hullub, H-O-L-U-B.
Thank you. And you're here for the LLC?
I'm a managing member, yes.
Fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to just, for the record, I'm going to read out the cases. DEL 21124, which is at 1669 North Normandy Boulevard, sir. Case number DEL 21125, same address, different issue. Well, it's a public nuisance. DEL 21126, same. No, this is 1689. And then DEL 21127, 1669. DEL 21128, 1866 Saxon Boulevard. DEL 21129, 1872 Saxon Boulevard, and then DEL 21130, 1878 Saxon Boulevard, and I believe those are the cases. Okay, first of all, do we have any understanding between the parties that can be announced this evening?
Yes, I believe we do. The city is willing to give Mr. Hull 90 days to get these properties demolished, but at the 91st day to initiate a fine if they are not completely removed. We are willing to work with him as long as he has, everything in motion.
Well, that's a lot different than what you just said. You said 90 days to have these properties completely demolished.
Right.
That's a little different than saying we're willing to work with him as long as he's got the ball rolling.
Yeah, as long as he has everything in motion, and we understand that if it comes to a permitting issue with the demo, that we would give him a little extra if we have to.
Well, but I need to put something in my order tonight that has a definite time frame in it. You know how this system works.
Right.
So is 90 days, in your opinion tonight, sufficient to allow this gentleman's LLC to be able to demolish 7 structures?
They should be able to get the permits and everything and have everything done in 90 days.
Okay, so you believe, I want to make sure that I understand what you're saying, and then I'm going to ask this gentleman right here, make sure he understands. So 90 days is what you believe is fair and what you've agreed to with this property owner for the 7 different structures.
Yes.
To get the permits to demolish the 7 separate structures and to demolish the 7
Yes, sir.
District.
Yes, sir. Mr. Holub has indicated by way of letter and email that he has already begun with some of the things that, as like with the electric and the water, getting them initiated. And all you would have to do then is get the permit for the demos.
Okay. So, sir, and I apologize, would you tell me your last name again? I don't mispronounce it.
Holub, Holub.
Holub, Mr. Holub. The city has represented to me this evening that it has worked with you and that the two of you have agreed that as to these 7 cases, 90 days is sufficient. We were agreeing that there's a violation as was noticed and is contained in the agenda, and that the cure for the violation is to demolish these 7 different structures within 90 days. So that's what the city is representing to me, and I wanted to get your take on that.
Yes, sir. As long as we can get the permits issued from the city. I don't know what it takes for a demolition permit in the city of Deltona, but I have a contractor that has already given us a proposal to demolish all 7, and he can start no later than the 1st of November, and it's probably a 10-day demolition job.
For all 7?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so beginning of November. Okay, so we're at the end of September, October. Okay, that should be enough time. Okay.
Yes.
I don't want to create an order that is just bound for failure. That's not what I'm about up here.
No, we have already started the inquiry with the power company to, of course, all the power's off all of the homes, but we need to get their overhead lines off the property, and with the city to pull back the water lines to the right-of-way, because this property will be redeveloped. There's 9 parcels, 7 of them have homes. It's going to be redeveloped for commercial.
Oh, cool.
In the very short term.
Excellent. All right. Well, this is great, and I appreciate you being here tonight, and I really appreciate you working with the city. It sounds like it's going to be a really big improvement for that part of the community.
Sure.
So what I'm going to find is that all 7 cases, which we read for the record, you're here tonight representing and speaking for the property owner, Deltona Lakes Investors, LLC. There's an acknowledgement and a stipulation between the parties that the properties are in violation as set forth in the agenda items, and that for compliance, we all agree that it'll be 90 days for all 7 of them.
Yes.
Just writing down some notes. Or a fine. What does the city want to do as far as the fine?
$250 a day.
Why so much?
Because they're an attractive nuisance and they are a safety hazard, to put it bluntly.
Is that a fair statement?
I suppose. I don't get over here much, but we do have somebody that takes care of the properties and mows them and so on. I drove by him today. I guess it's in the eye of the beholder, but we don't have a problem. This has been on our radar to demolish them, and probably would have started earlier this year, but we had difficulty getting a company to give us a bid.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and enter the order consistent with what we talked about tonight.
That's fine.
And I'm going to say the obvious. It sounds like you're going to work with the city, and these are things that get tear down. The bigger issue is to make sure, and none of my business, you want to make sure you have this insured in case someone gets out there and hurts themselves on these properties. Because it just popped into my mind, given that he said they're an attractive nuisance. And I remember when I was 9 years old, and this would be attractive.
Yes.
Bad things can happen. We don't want that. That's why I'm going into this detail. I don't want to have to pick up the paper and read that something that I touched caused a damage to a child or something like that. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And we recognize it's one of the gateways to the city, and so we're anxious to get them demolished and redevelop the property.
Okay. All right. Well, I very much appreciate it. And next time I'm coming through the gateway, I'll look forward to seeing, some really good improvements to that part of the city.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. We're good?
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Take care.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, the next case is DEL 21-113-934 Crawford. Give me a second to get there on my agenda, and then I will be with you. This is a Massey case?
Yes, sir.
And do we have someone here on this case? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Let me hear from the city first, sir, and then I'll wave at you and we can talk, okay? Please proceed.
This is case DEL 21-113. Address is 934 Crawford Street. The owner is Nancy Harmon. I'm Code Compliance Officer Steve Braca for the City of Deltona. This case was heard on August 25th, 2021. The order was signed on the 25th of August, giving 14 days to come into compliance or a fine of $100 per day. The violation was debris on the property. Although much of the front yard has been cleaned up, I was just down this morning talking to the gentleman. He has done a lot of cleanup on the front, but I was never contacted to be able to clear and bring the backyard into compliance. And in respect to he's recycling, bringing trash and junk onto the property. The property is currently in violation, and it was from September 8th would have been the deadline to September 22nd, which is 14 days, $100 a day. Currently, it's a $1,400 fine. But we do have, I believe he's the son of the owner of the property, would like to speak on it.
Okay.
I believe he has not.
Make sure
he was not here during swearing in, though.
Yeah, we'll get him sworn in. So, but what I understand is that work has been done since the last hearing and since the last order.
The front yard looks a lot better.
Is the front yard in compliance?
Yeah, front yard's in compliance. There's a few minor things there that bicycles and that kind of stuff, but they should be stored back behind the property. But
the backyard is your testimony. The backyard.
The backyard is not in compliance.
And you know this on personal knowledge?
Yeah, I was down there today, and I could see it through the fissures of the fence that there's still items back there.
Okay. All right. All right. Is there someone here for Mrs. Harmon at 934 Crawford Street? Yes, sir. Sir, if you just come forward, I need to swear you in. Is there anyone else that's going to testify tonight?
No, sir.
Okay. Could you raise your right hand, please? You swear affirm that the testimony provides tonight with the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Could you give me your name and your address, sir?
My name's Kevin Critch, K-R-I-C-H, and I live at 934 Crawford Avenue.
And what is your relation to Mrs. Harmon, who's the property owner?
I'm her son.
Thank you, sir. What do you want me to hear?
Well, it's just the house. I've only been in the house around 8 months now, and it's been the house was trashed when I got there. There was people from the COVID that stayed with no rent for over 2 years, and they just trashed the place, trashed it. When we moved in, it was. I had just had divorced with my wife, so I had 35 years worth of belongings that I bring with me to a house that was already trashed. So it piled up, and it was there. And as I was working to get the stuff out, my stuff was coming in. There's construction going on. It's it's a mess. And I've been trying to get everything done, and it's just hard, at this time, to get people in and do the work.
When was the last order signed again?
It was signed on the 25th of August.
Okay, and today is the
I want to comply with.
Well, the compliance date was the 8th of September, though, so.
I understand it. So how much time did we give him?
14 days.
14 days. and let's say that complete compliance on a scale of 1 to 10 is a 10. What's the current status?
6.
Do you think 14 days was not enough?
Well, my conversation with him this morning was that he needs to continue to scrap in order to make money. The problem is it's a residential area, and you can't use it as a scrap yard.
Not the purpose of this property for your scrapping business.
Yeah, I understand.
I need you to hear that loud and clear.
Okay.
I'm trying to help you.
Yes, sir.
But if you're making it harder for me to help you by continuing to use your scrapping, your residential property in a residential neighborhood with neighbors around you, and you're using your residential property for a scrapping business, and this violation is because, you got scrap out there, then it's hard for me to say, okay, we're going to reduce the fine or give you some more time. Has the problem not been cured partially because there's more stuff coming onto the property?
I can't really tell exactly the items. They seem to have been changed. At one time, there was a broken truck back there. I don't believe that's back there now.
The last hearing I gave you 14 days.
I have 3 of my brothers live with me also, so it's it's, you know, it's packed out house. It's a small house with 4 of us in there. So it's, you know, stuff comes and goes. There's different cars and there's different vehicles and boats and motorcycles and, you know, there's stuff there. It's not, a lived-in house, you know, we live there.
And that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about all the stuff that's just stored in the back, all the debris and things that are in the back.
Well, it could be considered debris, I guess, to somebody, you know, but it's our belongings, and it's not necessarily, you know, I'm going to comply to this. I'm going to get everything out of the yard. I'm going to, you know, whatever you want me to do. But, you know, in the meantime, it's just, you know, I'm going to have to get storage or what I have to do, and it's, I'm not running a business out of the house. I'm, you know, I'm retired, and, you know, I fix bicycles and lawnmowers and stuff like that, you know, and it's, you know, I guess it's inappropriate, I guess, in the neighborhood, like you said, to have so much stuff piled up.
I mean, I'm sensitive to what you're saying, but I also understand I've got to consider all the neighbors too, and what their concerns are.
Well, you could ask him. Okay.
You may be less sensitive, but that's my job. My job is to
yes, sir.
make sure,
I totally understand.
You know, whether we like it or agree with it or not, that's my job, is to read the code. The code says that you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that in this zoning district. And so
yes.
that's what I've got to live by.
Okay.
So now what I'm trying to do is fashion a decision tonight which achieves the objective, which is for all of this stuff to get off of your property.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the problem I'm facing is that my last order gave you 14 days. So what I'm going to find is that I'm going to give you 10 more days to complete this. I'm telling you why I did 10 days. It's because I asked the code enforcement officer, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? 10 being complete compliance. He said a 6. So that means you've done a lot of work, but you still got 4 out of the 10 left. I gave you 14 days. It's been more than 14 days now. So it's been 28 days, 14 plus 14. So I'm going to give you 10 more days, and then there's going to be a fine of $250 a day. So I'm not going to impose a fine tonight.
Okay.
But I want to make it crystal clear, that because this is the second time this has come back, and you've done some work.
Okay.
That's why I'm not imposing the fine. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to give you 10 more days, or the fine from that point is going to run at $250 a day.
Okay.
Okay? Now, if that comes back like we are tonight, do not expect me to waive that fine.
Yes, sir.
Is that fair?
That's fair.
Okay. All right. So I'm not going to impose a fine tonight. We're going to give the gentleman 10 more days to finish the cleaning up. Yes, sir.
Mr. Reichman, I just want to add, we were good with you wanting to give them 10 more days, but after the 10 more days, because of health safety issues, we will be posting that property for abatement and looking at abatement after that process.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, so let me write down some notes, and then I'll tell you what
Yes,
just
sir.
happened. All right. So think about it this way. I just created a train that's coming at you, and it's going to hit you in 10 days.
Yes, sir.
That's a fine of $250 a day. What the city just said is there's another train that's coming at you. And that's if in 10 days there's not compliance, they're going to come out and they're going to fix it. And then they're going to send you the bill for it.
Okay.
Either way, you don't want either train to hit you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I mean, I hate to use such a stupid analogy, but
I understand.
That's what I'm trying to say. So you know, try to make it so that on the 11th day you don't wake up and the trains run over you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's what we're going to do tonight. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for being here tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Is this a case where we have someone here tonight? Or are we starting at the top?
We're starting at the top, sir.
Thank you. Okay, here we go, folks. Next case is DEL 21060. This is a Massey case, property address 3024 India Boulevard. Property owner Jacqueline Jenkins, Officer Laracy.
Ready?
Please proceed. I'm sorry.
Thank you, sir. This is in reference to DEL 21-060. The address is 3024 India Boulevard. The owner is Jacqueline D. Jr. Jenkins. My name is Marion Laracy. I'm the Code Compliance Officer for the City of Deltona. It was entered into evidence exhibits proving proper service and a copy of the original magistrate order along with photographs. This case was heard and the order was signed on the 30th of May, 2021, giving 90 days to come into compliance or a fine of $50 per day until the property comes into compliance. Property is still in violation. The property was in violation from August 29th, 2021 to September 22nd, 2021, a total of 24 days at $50 a day. The total fine is $1,200. And the property is still in compliance, or I'm sorry, still in violation.
Any communications with the property owner?
No, sir.
Any idea? I'm just trying to figure out where we're going with this. Is it vacant?
No.
It's occupied.
Yes.
Do you know if it's homesteaded?
It is not.
It's not homesteaded,
It
so
is
it's a
not.
rental?
I guess she owns it outright.
Interesting. Okay. Find that the property remains in violation. The violation has occurred for 24 days beyond the date of the for compliance in the order. The fine will run at $50 per day for a total of $1,200, and it's running. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Next case is DEL 21068, which is another Massey case. This is 1057 Angora Street. Property owner is Maria Font, and Officer Laracy. Please proceed.
Thank you, sir.
Once I call your name, you're good to go.
Okay, just want to make sure. This is in reference to DEL 21-068, address is 1057 Angora Street. The owner is Maria Font. My name is Marion Laracy. I'm a Code Compliance Officer for the City of Deltona. It was entered into evidence exhibits proving proper service and a copy of the original magistrate order along with photographs. This case was heard and the order signed on July 28, 2021, giving 30 days to come into compliance or a fine of $50 per day until the property was in compliance. The property was in violation from August 28th to September 22nd, total of 25 days at $50 a day, a total fine of $12,050. Property is still in violation.
$1,250.
Yes, $1,250.
Property's in compliance now?
It's still in violation.
Still in violation.
Today, yes.
Any communications with the owner at all, or?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, I'm going to find the property remains in violation and has been in violation for 25 days beyond the deadline in my prior order at $50 a day or a fine of $1,250 that is running, continuing to run and accrue at $50 per day. Anything further?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next case, DL 21105, a Massey case, property address 2570 Coachman Drive, and the property owner is Fred Jones. This is Officer Scott.
Good evening. I'm Officer Jeff Scott, employed by the Code Compliance Officer, employed by the City of Deltona. DEL 21105, address 2570 Coachman Drive. Property owner is Fred Jones. This case was heard on the 28th of July. The order was signed on the 28th of July, 2021, given 7 days to come into compliance, or a $100 fine per day, $100 per day until the property comes into compliance. This property came into compliance on September 9th, which took the property on longer than the 7 days given. The fine started on August 4th to September 9th at $100 a day, which is 36 days in violation, equaling $3,600.
Property's in compliance at this time?
It's in compliance now, so the city is requesting no fines to be imposed at this time.
I'm sorry, say that last part again?
The city is requesting no fines to be imposed at this time.
So ordered. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next case is DEL 21-120, 2286 Montano Street. Property owners, Christina and Manuel Cisneros. We've got a permit issue going on here. Officer Laracy,
Yes, sir.
the fun keeps coming.
Yes, sir. Thank you. My name is Marion Laracy. I'm employed with the City of Deltona as a Code and Compliance Officer. This is in reference to case number DEL 21-120. Property owners Cisneros, Christina D. and Manuel. The property address is 2286 Montano Street, Deltona, Florida. Parcel ID is 813-041-120-180. This is in violation of the City of Deltona Ordinance Section 18-3, adopting the latest edition of the Florida Building Code, Section 105.1, which states that any owner, authorized agent who intends to construct, enlarge, alter, repair, move, demolish, or change the occupancy of a building or structure, or to erect, install, enlarge, alter, repair, remove, convert, or replace any electrical, gas, mechanical, or plumbing system, the installation of which is regulated by this code, or to cause any such work to be done, shall first make application to the code official and obtain the required permit. The statutory requirements for notification of this hearing have been met. By notice of hearing and notice of code violation were sent certified mail to the property owner at the address listed with the property appraiser's records and were posted on the property 10 days prior to this hearing. All evidence in this case, including the photographs, have been marked exhibits and submitted to the code board clerk. I certify any and all photographs are to be true and accurate portrayals of what I observed on the day they were taken. This was a proactive case that began June 2021. This was a case that we heard August 25th and was continued because there was some question on whether a permit was required for the structure. It was found that the permit is required. I added an email to your exhibits from the building official explaining that the permit was required for the structure. As of today, there is no permit in the system for the structure.
Any communications with the property owner?
No, sir.
Time for compliance, reasonable time for compliance?
There was a second case involved in this. They were given until November 16th. So I'm asking November 16th as a time to comply before scheduling a $50 day fine.
Any communications from the homeowner?
No, sir.
Okay, so ordered.
Thank you, sir.
Non-compliance, still in violation. Comply by 1116 or a fine of $50 per day.
Thank you, sir.
All right, next case is DEL 21-121. And that is a property owner of the, it says Land Trust Service Corporation. Property address 887 Deltona Boulevard. This is Officer Muse.
Good evening, Mr. Richmond.
Yes, sir.
My name is Dennis Muse. I'm employed by the City of Deltona as a Code Compliance Officer. My credentials are on file with the city. This is case number DEL 21-121, City of Deltona versus Land Trust Services Corp. Trust. Location address was 887 Deltona Boulevard, Deltona, Florida 32725. Parcel ID number is 803604010050. This is a violation of the City of Deltona Ordinance, Section 18-5, adopting the latest edition of the International Property Maintenance Code, Section 304.2, which states that all exterior surfaces, including but not limited to doors, door and window frames, cornices, porches, trim, balconies, decks, fences, and shall be kept in sound working order, or working condition, and maintained in good repair. Exterior wood surfaces other than decay-resistant wood shall be protected from the elements and decay by painting or other protective covering or treatments. The corrective action for this particular property was to pressure clean the exterior walls of the mold and mildew and numerous beehives. The statutory requirements for the notification of this hearing have been met by the notice of hearing and notice of code violation were sent certified mail to the property owner at the address listed with the property appraiser office. Also, notices were posted at the property. In addition, both notices were posted at City Hall at least 10 days prior to this hearing. All the evidence in this case, including the photographs, have been marked as exhibits and submitted to the Code Board hearing clerk. I certify any and all photographs to be true and accurate portrayals of what I observed on the day they were taken. This case started back in May this year, first part of May. We were doing scheduled proactive cases in the area. Found this property here to have mold growing up underneath the fascia, under the soffit area along the edge of the building. Notified the owner by way of notice of violation. The owner, Nelson Vasquez, did get a hold of us, or a hold of me, wanting an extension. We ended up giving him a month, and then he proceeded to ask for another extension for a couple weeks to get the water turned on. As of today, gave the hearing clerk document showing that the water was to be turned on in the next day or two, so he can go ahead and get the outside taken care of.
But he's still in violation.
He's still in violation. And all we are asking that, as far as a amount of time, is 2 days. I had another property with the same violation. They got it done one afternoon, but they did have water turned on.
The fine?
The fine would be $50 a day.
So ordered. In violation, 2 days to comply, or $50 per day fine. I think that's reasonable, given your explanation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I think we have one more case. And that's DEL 21-132, 725 Lola Avenue. Property owner Paul David McGee. Officer Laracy.
My name is Marion Laracy. I'm employed with the City of Deltona as a code compliance officer. This will be in reference to case number DEL 21-132, the City of Deltona versus Paul David McGee. The property address is 725 Lola Avenue, Deltona, Florida. Parcel ID number is 813-062-330-010. This is in violation of City of Deltona Ordinance Section 18-5, adopting the latest edition of the International Property Maintenance Code, Section 303.1, which states all swimming pools shall be maintained in a clean, sanitary condition and in good repair. All statutory requirements for this notification of this hearing have been met. The notice of hearing and notice of code violation were sent certified mail to the property owner at the address listed with property appraiser record and were posted on the property 10 days prior to this hearing. All evidence in this case, including photographs, have been marked as exhibits and submitted to the Code Board clerk. I certify any and all photographs to be true and accurate portrayals of what I observed on the day they were taken. This case began June 2020. It was a proactive case. Noticed driving down as an unsanitary pool. You can see it from the sidewalk, chain link fence. It's in pretty bad condition. I have not had any contact with the residents. I've knocked on their door several times. The city now requests that the property is still in violation as of today. They ask 7 days to be given before scheduling a $100 day per fine, $100 day per fine per day, excuse me.
7 days to comply?
Yes.
Before I rule. Folks, are you here on a case tonight?
No.
Just for the entertainment, then?
You got it.
Okay, since they're not here on this case, I'm going to enter an order that the property remains in violation, that the property owner has 7 days in which to comply, or there'll be a fine imposed of $100 per day for the fine.
Thank you, sir.
And that is it. Sorry, folks, to disappoint you, but I don't have any more cases. Is that correct?
That is
Okay,
correct.
thank you very much for all your hard work, folks, and we will see you next month.
Thank you, sir.
We're adjourned. Excellent work. Thanks, appreciate it.
On the 90 days for those 7 properties,
Yeah.
it was just 90 days. That's